At this time, I would like to call forward Don Hofer along with Tom Cooper. Don is our third recipient tonight, and his high school buddy, Tom, is going to say a few words on his behalf.
Thank you, John. 3 words: all around, athleticism, and teammate. Those 3 words define Don Hofer. He is perfectly named. His nickname, HOF, matches perfectly with HOF Hall of Fame. Preparing for this, I went through all of the 59 inductees. Guys who've excelled in football, teams, coaches, all the different people who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. What I was looking for was all around athlete. There are not many, only a few all-around athletes who have excelled in 3 sports. And I was looking for the all-around athlete because the next inductee was truly a 3-sport star. Hof was the track team's leading scorer for 3 years. He was the 2nd leading scorer in basketball for 3 years. He was the star of the football team, both offensively and defensively. He was the halfback his sophomore year, and then the quarterback his junior and senior year. He never came out of the game because he played both ways. He was like the Heisman Trophy winner this year, Hunter. Don never left the field. He didn't just participate, he excelled. He was truly the star, an all-around athlete. We played in this era in what was known as the Big West Conference. It was a very, very difficult conference. The 3 largest schools in the state of Wisconsin were La Crosse, Eau Claire, and Wausau. And Menominee was in that conference because no UP teams would play Menominee anymore. There were only 4 teams that would play us. Wausau had 2 kids that are in the NFL Hall of Fame. They only lost 25 games in 29 years, and it's the only team that beat Don's team our senior year. Marinette was ranked in the top 5 our senior year, and we tied them because Hof intercepted a pass and returned it for a touchdown. He claims to this day that we would have beaten Marinette if Bert Cooney hadn't dropped the touchdown pass. Bert was a great athlete and a big maroon backer, as you know, and a good friend. Bert, stand up. Because Don was a first-string All-Big Rivers quarterback, he received a scholarship to play football in college. So his dad drove him over to Stout State University near Eau Claire, and the coach looked him up and down and said, "My God, you're way too small to play college football." Literally. So Don wound up coming back home and joined the Navy. I maintain to this day, if that coach had given him a uniform, he would have started somewhere. Athleticism. Being a football player, being a basketball player, being a track star requires a great deal of athleticism. But I witnessed 2 things personally because I lifeguarded with Hof back at Victory Beach. When we had a really cold, rainy day, one person would watch the beach and the rest of us would play ping pong. Nobody could beat Don in ping pong, ever. Not even your brother Mike. But one day, a guy showed up on our beach who was a diver, and we had a high dive on the outer wall. And this guy was doing everything: double somersaults, backflips, swan dives, just a really professional diver. Hof went in and asked our boss in Raddick, I have a half hour off, I want to go dive with that guy. The whole beach went out on the pier and watched this professional diver do all these incredible moves, and Hof followed every single move that he did, he could do. Now mind you, he's never had one diving lesson in his life. It's a definition of pure athleticism. Teammate, the third word. The third word is very near and dear to my heart because it involved me. I went to Lourdes High School my first 2.5 years, so I could only play basketball in Menominee 1 year. And our senior year, when we were playing Lourdes, Larry Epps, who's in the Hall of Fame, wrote an article about Bob Peacock being the best sophomore in the history of Lourdes High School. Well, I received a telephone call from my sophomore teammate, Don Rowland, and Rowland said, would you teach Larry Epps who the best sophomore was? Because Don was the star of our team the year that we beat Mel Peterson's undefeated Stevenson basketball team. And I asked Coach Noonan, could I watch Peacock? So I followed Bob around all night, face guarded him, did everything you could imagine back. Held him scoreless. Midway in the third quarter, Hof calls a timeout. We go over to the coach, and Coach Noonan said, well, what's going on? Why you call the timeout? I said, Coach, Coops has been following Peacock around all night, and he hasn't scored very many points. And he told the rest of our teammates, every time we come down the court, feed the ball to Tom, and if you have a free throw, miss it, so we can get the rebound and put it back up. I quickly had my 20-point average, and the thing that really hits me to this day yet is I asked you how many teammates at that point think of their other teammates. And that to me is the essence of what Don Hofer is all about. Teammate. Don as an adult had a wildly successful business career. He started a tire business with 3 locations in Orange County, bought lots of real estate and built up a multi-million-dollar empire of real estate. And it's just a terrifically successful life. He's married to the love of his life, Doris Anderson Hofer, who is still stunningly beautiful. Doris, would you stand up? I'll share a secret with you. You proposed to her junior year and she was graduating a year older. You didn't want to let her get away. It is my pleasure to introduce one of the finest all-around athletic teammates in the history of Menominee High School, Doc. Hi, Val.
I don't know how to follow that one. In fact, I lost my, yeah, it is hard to follow Tom. I would like to say that him and I get along. That's why he's in charge. But the only thing I got left to say is thank you to a lot of people. Of course, Tom was, like he said, good friends, classmate, and fellow basketball player. I want to thank the entire induction group, Dennis, Mans, Bones, and Dave. Also a big to-do, Anita. I didn't see her here tonight. Oh, But she always puts on a special deal and hosts these dinners and stuff really good. I appreciate that. And I would like to thank all my old coaches. Ken wasn't my coach. But he talked about being a quarterback and having to know a lot of good stuff and all that stuff. But I told my wife, she said the same thing. Boy, you had to know a lot of stuff back there. Well, Canisco came in and we were in a split team. It was right or left. And every now and then we threw a pass. So I had three options. You know, halfback, which was Bert, who never got the ball. But no, we had some good teams, and like they were saying, Tom was saying that we got thrown in a pretty tough league, and we went down to Wausau, which was our first game in the Big Rivers Conference, and we went out on the field and we had these cute little white or gold pants and white jerseys with red numbers, and along came I think it was about 40 Lumberjacks, came out on the other side of the field, and it actually tilted a little bit. You know, we were intimidated. Hell yeah, we got beat 41-0. But that was a tough one. So we came back the following year and we tied them 13-13, so felt pretty good about that. In the 1957 game, they always say 1958, but it was 1957. A little story about that is Terry's husband, Bob, had the 16 millimeter game on that he sent me out, and I had paid about $200 to have it changed over into a digital. And Doris and I were watching it, and she says, "Weren't you number 33? I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, that's number 15. Well, you played in 1958, in 1957. So I still got the 16 millimeter. So don't tell them that I got the archives. A special thanks to my wife, Doris, of course, who's been with me, like Tom said. We've been together for now 65 years. And I kind of accept this award because I always figured we were that, not a really good team, not a bad team, but we had some really greats. You know, after us came Kid Hofer's era. Before me, we had the Ponto brothers and Billy Wells and a lot of other players that went on to play college football. And so I accept this award on behalf of all the neat, talented players we had and that surrounded me in my athletic days. Thank you very much for all coming.